The Cleveland Browns walked out of yesterday's game with a MASH unit. We've got all the latest updates on the Cleveland Browns injuries starting now on your latest Locked On Browns.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, it's a rowdy one, and if you're not joined yet, you certainly should be. The best way to do that is subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel, and of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. First, thanks to the fine folks over at Homage, the David Njoku Angry Runs shirt. Hopefully we can get a return to the Chief and the solid hands, and maybe we can get another t-shirt for that. Rough couple of games for number 85, but he will bounce back. Obviously, your Cleveland Browns' big news of the day. As everybody walked off the field, Denver, and obviously headed towards LA last night. Myles Garrett, Jordan Elliott, Amari Cooper, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But with Coach Stefanski's presser today, I got to think probably went in the news we got from Coach Stefanski, and hopefully it is all true to the letter. It's about as positive as it could have been. Myles Garrett, there is no structural damage. Myles Garrett is sore. Coach Stefanski is describing him as day-to-day. Now here, if Myles is, able to go this week, still could miss time. Who knows? And this has been how crazy it's been. You remember Jerome Ford before the Seattle game on Wednesday walked out of the facility with a walking boot. Somehow Jerome Ford played that Sunday in Seattle. So you don't know what to tell this early in the week. But even if you have Myles at limited capacity, we know it's the left shoulder. So maybe you're going to line him up. Obviously, which side he's more comfortable on, you can use him that way. Put him in a stand-up position. Don't put your hand in the ground. You can line him up, stand up over the center of the guard. There are probably still a way, if the pain is enough that Myles can deal with it, that Myles Garrett can still contribute for this team on Sunday in Los Angeles. Jordan Elliott, the ankle, day-to-day, as Coach Stefanski described as well. Does this maybe open a door if Jordan's not able to go this week? I know everybody's been asking a ton. When do we get to see Sione Ika? Look, I'd love to see the kid. I would. But as I try to tell everybody when I get these tweets sent my way, who of the defensive tackles are you taking off the field? We're not taking Dalvin Tomlinson off the field. We're not taking Shelby Harris off the field. We're not taking Maurice Hurst off the field. And to his credit, Jordan Elliott's been pretty tough this year. He's been pretty solid. Look, we all like to see Ika. We all want to see what we got. Maybe this week he'll get that chance to dress and, get in the lineup and get his first couple NFL reps under the belt. But for now, it's still a mystery. Amari Cooper, we found out last night, obviously, the x-rays were negative. Coach Stefanski today, day-to-day. If you remember week 2 in Pittsburgh, now that was a rough week leading up to that game for Amari Cooper. There was the talk of the scarred tissue, within the offseason core surgery that Amari had. He wasn't feeling it, wasn't right. But yet somehow, pain tolerance-wise, he was able to go out there that Monday night. It was like 7 for 90. So if anybody could play a game with a little bit of pain, it appears Amari Cooper is old school in that respect. And we know this Browns team needs him. Obviously, this Browns team desperately needs him. He is the most proven commodity at the wide receiver position right now. So for Amari, and look, there was a lot of questions about the Denver hits yesterday. Not a fan. I'm not going to be honest. And everybody, no, it's football. It's football. Look, anybody who ever played the game, there's no room for that crap anymore, man. The knowledge, the studies, what we've learned over the years. Play the game, play it the right way, play it the clean way. You don't lead with your head ever. First things first, you're taught that. First time you put on pads, 7, 8 years old. You never lead with your head. It can cause almost as much damage to you as it can to the person that you're trying to hit with your head first. It's just a stupid, classless way to play football. Denver, look, obviously they already had one safety out for 4 games. The Barrett Browning hit. This is another thing. It was a clean hit, really. Then why is our quarterback puking up? Spitting out blood out of his mouth? He's concussed. No, he launched right into this area here, caught him. Stop. There is no room for that. And when the fines are distributed at the end of the week, you'll get the word from the NFL that these hits were not clean. They're not clean. Stop. And I don't want to hear football. No. Intelligent enough, smart enough to not go out there and risk yourself in that capacity. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, obviously the subject of that hit from Barrett Browning, still in the concussion protocol. And as we know, as we saw Dorian walking off the field, wasn't the best of times for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Blood coming out of his mouth, diagnosed with a concussion. Dorian did take to social media last night and kind of laughed it off, I'd say, basically saying I got my ASS lit up. For Dorian, I thought he was playing really well. And, I'm not sure where he's at, and we'll find out as the week goes on. This probably would have been a really cool week for him. Being QB1, going back to UCLA, where he spent 5 years on the Westwood campus, for, him being QB1 and also getting to be essentially a big man on campus because, it's his area, knows the place obviously very well. But we'll wait and see with Dorian during the week. If you remember, Marquise Goodwin has been in the protocol now for a couple of weeks for the Browns. You actually start to practice and you got to string together some practices before you come out of the protocol. So we should have a really, really good idea, maybe even Wednesday or Thursday, about whether or not Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be ready to go Sunday against the Rams. I'd love to, get the kid out there. If he's just not ready, that's fine. But, I think the way it's working, certainly with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, look, I think there's a player in there. There's a quarterback with inside that kid. And for him to get an opportunity here to play and close out this season, however far it goes for the Browns, valuable experience. Who knows? Deshaun comes in, lights it up. Maybe Dorian Thompson-Robinson gets an opportunity somewhere else one day. But for all those who question why the Browns drafted a quarterback, this is why you're here. This is why the NFL philosophy was for years, why you always draft quarterbacks. There were teams that had philosophy that we will draft a quarterback every year. A, it's probably the toughest position to evaluate. B, it's the toughest position to develop. That's why you always go get a bunch of them. You never know what's going to happen. But so your news, obviously, Myles, it appears to be day, no structural damage. It is just sore to this point. Amari Cooper, same type of thing. Ribs are negative. And remember, week 2, Amari played with a ton of pain. So hopefully, Fabi feel good about that. Jordan Elliott, the ankle, day. We'll see. Does it open up a window for Siaki Ika? We'll find out. And DTR still in the concussion protocol. And we'll find out more probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as the week goes on. I am Jeff Lloyd. This is your latest Locked On Browns. And seeing as we talked about quarterbacks, we're going to talk quarterbacks a little bit more here going into segment 2. Appreciate everybody sticking along for the ride. But first, a word from the fine folks at Gametime. If you've ever bought tickets to a show and the seats weren't right, or, oh my God, you opened it up and you paid $50 more than you thought you should have. Well, that's not the way it works with Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets for your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. For me, my wife, my girls, we love to go to a lot of shows. We got a lot of great outside venues in our area. Problem is our schedules are so crazy, we don't ever know. So last-minute ticket buyers, oh yeah, that is this. That is us. It is easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You get a view of the seat from the venue before you purchase, the lowest price guarantee. They have event cancellation protection. They have job loss protection. You can see the view of your seat from the app from when you buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. The all-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without any hidden fees. You buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. And of course, I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd just seems to get bigger and bigger. And if you're not a part of the everyday crowd, you got to change that immediately by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. With Dorian Thompson-Robinson leaving the game yesterday, obviously PJ Walker in again in relief position for the Browns. A couple of starts under his belt. We all know big old Joe Flacco spent this week with the Browns practice squad. And most likely the thought process was that Joe would be elevated to the active roster this week. Me personally, look, I want more DTR in my life. I really, really think, and I'm not saying the Browns have found the next Patrick Mahomes, but just slow your roll. There's a quarterback there. And you saw the resiliency with this kid, and it started slow. We all saw that. Then was able to chip away from 14-0, get his team 2 field goals, 14-6. His team comes out in the second half, gets 3 and out. He comes out, and that was big boy football. That was what an NFL quarterback looks like. The throw to Cooper, the 2 throws to Njoku, the beautiful out of the T formation. And for everybody brings up the bad Coach Stefanski play calls, go back to that touchdown yesterday that Dorian Thompson-Robinson threw to Harrison Bryant. That was a chef's kiss play call. The kid, and I honestly believe this, and I will say this, I think if DTR went back in, if DTR was okay after that 15-yard penalty, 17-12, I think the Browns would have scored on that drive. So it either would have been 17-15, or the Browns would have taken the lead on that drive. And I guarantee you that game would have ended a lot differently if Dorian Thompson-Robinson didn't exit that game. He looked better throwing the football than everybody I hear. All I hear about Russell Wilson's playing better. Blah, blah, blah. Dorian Thompson-Robinson looked physically better throwing the football yesterday than Russell Wilson. Fact. Straight fact. But there is the real possibility that Dorian is just not able to go this week. This is completely out of his control. Browns have no say in this. This is all obviously done by outside doctors, and rightfully so. But the fact of the matter is, the Browns may have to trot out after 2 starts from Dorian Thompson-Robinson. The Browns may have to trot out either a PJ Walker or Joe Flacco to be their quarterback this week. Cringe. No, maybe not. I'm not good with seeing PJ Walker in a starting role anymore. Look, it's just not clicking with PJ Walker, honestly. Very, very loose with the ball. Way too many turnovers. And, the fact that the Browns are, -7, have 23 turnovers, those numbers, they're high. They do make sense when you're playing as many different quarterbacks as the Cleveland Browns are. But, PJ Walker, great guy, great story, all of that stuff. If it's him versus DTR, I always want to see DTR. If Joe Flacco, if you got to put 2 wristbands on Joe Flacco to make sure you got enough of your offense installed for Joe Flacco to go out there and do what he's got to do, then let's just play Joe Flacco. I know the whole issue is with Joe Flacco. This is a big, big difference. Joe Flacco is automatically the least athletic quarterback who has ever played for Coach Stefanski. I mean, I joked about Jacoby Brissett. He was great last year on the QB sneaks and the short yardage situations. He was fantastic with those. But when you watch Jacoby run, it kind of looked like, a dad waking up in the morning, not trying to step on any kids out of his kids' Legos. Joe Flacco, probably same type of thing. But he's got an outstanding arm strength. And that's something that's not going to go away. Joe Flacco is going to be out there throwing missiles at his grandkids one day. When you're 6'4", 6'5", as big of a man as Joe Flacco is, that's just the way it's going to be. He does come in with a savvy. He does come in with a veteran presence. He does come in with a Super Bowl pedigree. Granted, years removed from that being that guy, and I get that. But you're in a situation here, and anytime a team in the NFL is starting their fourth quarterback in a season, it might be a converted wide receiver. It might be a guy that's been in town for a hot minute. It's very rare, and it's even more rare that this team is a winning football team with a record of 7-4 like the Cleveland Browns are. Normally, you don't get to 7-4 with three quarterbacks and then possibly have to start a fourth different quarterback to possibly go 8-4. But to have at least a name brand in Joe Flacco to be the guy to go out there to be this possible fourth quarterback, it's not a terrible situation to be in by any means whatsoever. So the Browns, obviously, it was a coup for them. It worked out. They were obviously, dating Joe Flacco, made the decision right at the Pittsburgh Steelers game to get him in here on the practice squad, give him a week to get acclimated. If yesterday's game had continued like it was, it would have been Dorian Thompson-Robinson's job, in my opinion, and rightfully so. And again, we don't know if it's going to be DTR on Sunday. We have no idea. Do I want it to be DTR? Yes. If it's Joe Flacco, am I all in? After hearing the injury news today and the possibility that almost everybody's okay, I'm okay with it being Joe Flacco. And it's no disrespect to PJ Walker. You will be remembered in Cleveland forever for the San Francisco game. You will be remembered in Cleveland forever for closing out that Indianapolis Colts game. You probably will be remembered forever the way the Seattle Seahawks game closed out. But those are probably your three quarterbacks right now. And I know a lot of people are talking, move on from Walker, sign him back to the practice squad. That can't happen right now. And that probably cannot happen this week. You have no idea what the state of Dorian Thompson-Robinson is. So what are you going to do? Walk into the game Sunday with a guy who's been back in the NFL for a hot minute, 10 days, and expect Joe Flacco to go wire for wire, and you're going to have no safety net? Because if anybody doesn't know, the safety net at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, their emergency quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, is Harrison Bryant. Y'all ready for that? Because I'm certainly not ready for that. So, we're going to monitor this, obviously, as the week goes here. We're going to get Pete Smith in here tomorrow. We're going to get some thoughts about that, crossover episodes, all that good stuff. But the reality of the situation is we don't know on DTR, and we won't know till later in the week. But if we hear DTR is off to the side, look, you guys know me, and I've talked about this a bunch this year. If he's not getting the practice reps, I don't want him playing. It's not a disrespect to anybody. I said this about Deshaun Watson. The reason I was excited the Seattle game that PJ Walker did start is because he was the one getting the practice reps. I want the guy who's practicing to be the guy who's going to start on Sunday. So if DTR is not out there with a helmet on and participating on Wednesday, then, my God, it's going to be Joe Flacco time. And imagine we had these conversations in August and we said week 13, Joe Flacco was going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Crazy, crazy season to this point. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Give you my final Denver Broncos thoughts. Everybody stick around for that. But first, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, certainly a lot more as well. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody. The first listeners, everybody makes Locked On Browns your first listen. You guys are awesome. Make sure you check down Locked On Sports 247 on YouTube. That's always linked to the end of my show. We're just streaming. We're streaming all our episodes, man. We were just opening up the gauntlet and letting it flow 24/7, 365. So make sure you check that out. You can get your Guardians action, certainly get your Cavaliers action over there as well. The everyday crowd keeps getting bigger and bigger. And if you ain't part of the party, man, I suggest you get on the bus, Gus, and subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Of course, the show's always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Just some final thoughts from yesterday. And I do honestly believe if that hit did not take DTR out of the game. So now you're thinking the Browns are going to have the ball, a little bit north of the 30, because that was the play that obviously inevitably led to the disastrous reverse. Look, the call was bad. The execution was worse. I get it, and everybody, Stefanski's boy, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't like the play call. I didn't like the fact that they didn't run the ball early. So, everybody wants to always say that, see, you can criticize without trying to tell the guy he should be fired and his kid should go to boarding school. I mean, that was the case yesterday. And look, just because I don't agree or disagree, doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It just doesn't. And I spoke today on one show. Look, obviously you run a reverse because you're killing somebody by running to the outside. That is the whole reason you run the reverse. For me, once I saw Elijah Moore in the backfield, and I'll tell you again, something's up here because we're not doing this anymore. We haven't been playing Elijah Moore in the backfield anymore. And then when I saw it was Pierre Strong, it was like, oh, good God. I mean, you're not fooling anybody when you do something like that. It's not, the whole point is that you're supposed to be using an active deception. There was no deception. You don't use a reverse to bail yourself out of a bad situation. You use it to take advantage of somebody that you are beating up on, not to bail you out. That's what my problem was with that, of course. The run defense, and it was tricky. I mean, because you look at it at the end, I think it was 39 carries, 169 yards. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. But the problem was it was a lot of 15s, 18s, 9s, 12s, -2, 10, 7, -2. And the Browns just got to get more consistent with that. And, part of it, and look, Jim Schwartz is a great, great coach, but it doesn't mean that every now and then somebody else is going to be, in Jim Schwartz's head and somebody's going to take advantage of him. And, you're not going to win everything. And obviously yesterday was a day that Jim Schwartz didn't win. As great as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah looked yesterday, probably his best game in the NFL. Some days, somebody's just got your number, man, and they're one step ahead of you all day. And for Jim Schwartz, unfortunately, that was the case yesterday. It wasn't even the pass defense. There were no issues with that. It was definitely, obviously, the run defense. Do I think this is an issue where we're all nervous back like where it was last year? Not at all. It was just a bad day. And I think the worst part about it for me probably is you kind of knew this is what Denver wanted to do. This is how Denver has been a successful team over the last few weeks. So basically everything you thought was coming did, and wasn't much you could do about it. That being said, I think I like an aggravated Jim Schwartz. I think I like a motivated Jim Schwartz. I like the fact that Jim Schwartz is going to go face the Rams on Sunday, and he's mad at himself. And he feels like maybe, didn't get it done. Didn't put his guys in the best position to succeed. So a guy who's crazy like a fox and an aggressive son of a gun like Jim Schwartz, I absolutely love the idea of Jim Schwartz, maybe with a little extra fire under his can going into this game Sunday against the Rams. Now, offensively, I thought it was a great day, and it was good for Cedric Tillman. Everybody knows, you everydayers know, the guys, everybody's here for the first listen. I thought that there's probably a chance here for Cedric Tillman, and we needed it because I talked about Cedric Tillman. I certainly talked about Elijah Moore. Needed a little bit more at a wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3. Cedric Tillman, with his relationship going back to Bishop Gorman High School in Nevada with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And sometimes this is all it takes when you're a rookie in the NFL, is to get a feel-good moment. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you look around and, hey, I can do this. So no different than the SEC where I played well. And you go and you get 60-something yards receiving. And all of a sudden, it's the woosah moment. You know what? Yeah, this is big. It's fast. But you know what? I belong. And maybe for yesterday, Cedric Tillman had that, I belong here. I am worthy. I have the ability to play in this league. And it certainly could be a huge thing for the Cleveland Browns down the stretch as they need to get more. Look, Amari Cooper is good. David Njoku is good. Jerome Ford, in my opinion, has been excellent to this point this year. But the Browns need a couple other playmakers on this offense to step up. You don't have Deshaun Watson. You're going to have quarterbacks that just need guys to make plays for them. And for Cedric Tillman, certainly Elijah Moore, maybe even David Bell, who actually had a red zone target thrown to him yesterday. Maybe the opportunity is there for these guys. Maybe there's a chance that they can now finally start to step up, get comfortable, and be role players within this Cleveland Browns offense. So we updated you on the MASH unit. Obviously, we took you through the fact that we have no idea who's going to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. About all we do know about who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns on Sunday is it will not be Deshaun Watson. That's about all we know. Final thoughts, of course, from the Bronco game. Tough loss, tough place to play. And I talked about the Browns have played so many 60-minute games. It was going to be really, really tough to go to Denver just because you're a little bit more tired this time of year. It's a much more difficult place to catch your breath. And sadly, all those things came to fruition as Browns fell short against the Denver Broncos, but looked to right the ship with some positive injury news out in L.A., healing their wounds in the sun around the pool, hopefully. So that is where we're at. We'll get to you this week. Tons more coming. Like I said, the post game was up from yesterday. If you didn't catch that, tomorrow we'll record with Pete Smith, just trying to give you guys the best Cleveland Browns content I possibly can. Jeff Lloyd, your host here now, 7 seasons with you all here on Locked On Browns. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen. Again, the everyday crowd. You don't want to be a part of the everyday crowd. You need to be a part of the everyday crowd. And you do that by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. When you are done with me as your first listen, check out Locked On Sports 247. Hit all your NFL coverage. You can get your Cavs coverage. You can get your Guardians coverage. We got you covered on Locked On Sports 247. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.